I'm Lydia.
I'm Ed.
We're friends with a playlist for everything. And it turns out we both have one called Survival Songs.
And it got us thinking, what are other people's survival songs?
So we thought we'd find out.
Welcome to Survival Songs,
A podcast where each episode our guest tells us about a song that gets them through the best and worst of times.
sensitive topics might be discussed.
So look after yourself.
The show contains portions of copyrighted material.
We'd love for you to support and celebrate the artists by streaming, downloading and buying their brilliant music. And go give our guests a follow on social media.
Help us grow the community of survival song listeners by joining us over on Substack and add to our public playlist on Spotify. Links are in the show notes.
We hope you enjoy the show. Welcome back to Survival Songs. And this week, I am properly chuffed to be catching up with a very old friend and having a moment for some punk. This is Laura Slater. She's a designer who works across textiles, print and image making. She's also a creative educator, luckily for some. Her practice is occupied with the engagement we have with pattern and its ability to connect us with the objects and environments that we surround ourselves with. She explores this through process, materials, and product. As a designer, Laura's work is focused around creating democratic products, exploring how this can act as a vehicle for the interaction with art as part of the everyday. Her collaborators include Tate, Yorkshire Sculpture Park, Heels, Ikea Global, John Lewis, Lomography and Charleston. And she runs her design studio and print workshop in Yorkshire, which will not be a surprise to you once you hear this lady's beautiful voice. This is Laura. I can't wait for you to meet her and her survival song, Start Together by Sleater-Kinney. So that was Start Together by Sleater-Kinney, which is the survival song of our guest today, Laura Slater. Hello, Laura Slater.
Hi, Lydia. Nice to see you.
Really nice to see you. And we're here with our matching orange lipstick as well, which feels very appropriate for this rock and roll moment with our messy blonde hair and some orange lippy. I'm so glad you sent me this song. I don't think we've had anything like this yet. So it's really nice as a little departure. Normally, the first question is, how did you find this song, or how did this song find you? But it feels more appropriate to ask, when were you hit in the face by this song?
Well, actually, this song came to me when I was 15. So the album that it's from, The Hot Rock, came out in 1999, and it was put on a mixtape on a cassette by my best friend now, still, who I'd just met then, Laura. So and it was a song that kind of opened my world up to things that were a little bit further alternative than the alternative at the time, if that makes sense. And there was something about hearing this all-female band playing instruments, singing together, starting together, that just kind of spoke to me. And I still feel that Sleater-Kinney and their music sort of almost represents a lot of the kind of female friendships that I have now, and particularly with Laura, I guess. And it's been with me a long time. And when you asked me to do this, my initial thought was, give me a year and I'll figure out what my survival song is. And then I think after about a day, I was like, oh, forget that. I know exactly which song this is. And it's something that, much like those kind of female friendships, is always there. And, I've always liked sort of heavier music, if you like, punk music. It is still something that I turn to probably at times of unrest, I think, something that feels a little bit more frustrated, maybe, a little bit more driving, melodic but discordant, which are all the things that I think come from a feeling of needing to survive, really.
Yeah, it's almost like a chaos needs to meet you in the chaos.
Yeah, I
Had
think so. Yeah, I mean, I think that idea of particularly this Sleater-Kinney song, but all Sleater-Kinney songs, is that they always have these really contrasting um, sort of sonic moments. So they're tender but frustrated, they're melodic but discordant. The words are often quite sort of contrasting the feelings that you go through in times of needing to survive.
Yeah. Well, it feels like what you go through to survive, because I
Yeah,
guess
yeah, yeah,
like doing this project, we've definitely heard lots and lots of people describe survival differently, or
yeah,
what
yeah,
they need in moments of survival differently. So a lot of people would choose something very calm and soothing
yeah,
as a kind of counter to how they're feeling. So it's really interesting to me, and I resonate. Like I do this as well. It really helps to have something meet you where you are sometimes, and be like, oh, if how I'm feeling in my body was a noise, it would be this.
yeah. I think also as well with this song, is that there's like a real crescendo throughout the whole thing, and it kind of builds up to a sort of chorus, I think, and that builds both in like Corinne Tucker's voice, but then also in Carrie Brownstein's like guitar playing. Um, and I just love the layering of it. It feels really complicated, and
Yeah.
I don't know whether, I mean, I think some people might think it sounds quite messy, but I can always find like a through sound in Sleater-Kinney songs, even though they're really layered. And I think there's something about kind of Corinne Tucker's voice that has like a slight vibrato kind of thing in it, and it's almost, I don't want to use the term waily because it feels like maybe slightly derogatory, but there's like that kind of that shake in the voice.
Yeah, the
Like,
whole thing quivers. You're right.
yeah, yeah, and there's something about that as well.
So you say you can always hear a through thread in a Sleater-Kinney song.
Yeah,
What's your bit, Laura?
it kind of builds and builds, and there's this kind of really driving guitar part towards the chorus, which is "Baby, don't you leave me, baby, don't you go. I'll head out the fences, I'll head out the door." It just gets me every time. And I think sometimes you can only really get that maybe in slightly like louder, like fuller music. That like real crescendo, I think.
Yeah, you're not listening to this quietly, are you? It's
No,
full
quite
volume.
likely in the car, quite loud. I was thinking about when you asked me to pick a song, and I picked this song, and I was like, I wonder what this is about. Is it about, I think moments of survival can be about lots of things that happen in life. I think for me, a need to survive usually comes through sort of things that might happen in relationships or even in my like creative process, which is usually one of the most amazing but frustrating aspects of my life. Um, and so I kind of did a bit of reading. I don't know how authentic or the provenance of this, but apparently this song is also apparently about the band were going to split up. So it's
Mm.
like the creative sort of push and pull of something leaving you that has been really important. I found that really interesting because I was like, oh, that actually really echoes like moments in my life.
Yeah, do you think you can sort of hear the ending in it, and that's when you're reaching for it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, potentially, yeah. Yeah, and a bit of that is just like get on with it as well, which I can have a bit of that attitude as
Yeah,
from time
yeah,
to time. You have to have a word with yourself, don't you?
yeah.
Um,
So are you putting this on consciously? You've talked about trains, cars, walking. Are you like reaching for this song? And if so, like how often? Because it's quite a punch.
Often I'd say I can be as I've got older, have got quite habitual with my like listening habits. Maybe because I want to be transported to certain places or times. I think like moments of times like with like chosen family, you know, I mean, I've got a great family. I could have picked a song that was about, you know, them. But I think there's something about that idea of like, you know, teenage angst a little bit and breaking free from those things and, you know, asserting yourself as an individual aside from, you know, your family and that being a massive part, that support network being a massive part um, of being resilient and getting through things. And I think there are some people in your life that songs might remind you of or that introduce you to songs. And you think about them as well, I think, when you're listening to music.
Yeah, and you're like maybe the third or fourth person to talk about a mixtape, and I love that.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
the
Yeah.
gift of a mixtape from a friend or a family member, and how it stays with you.
Yeah, I think at that time in our lives, with several people, but like again, particularly with Laura, it was like, you know, just backwards and forwards. And I've still got all of them in a box. So I should really get like a cassette player. I really would not like to know what was on my mixtapes because Laura's were way cooler than mine, I think. She was telling me the other day that there were like some kink songs on. Not that there's
Brilliant.
anything wrong with the kinks, but I was like, really? Like I really put them really actually put them on there. You know, why? But anyway.
I give you the gift of the
sometimes.
kinks. I've just changed my car, which means that I've lost an in-car CD player. It's gone all digital now, and I'm really, really missing it because for about a year I was spending 10p on CDs in all these different charity shops, and I have just bought a CD player just so that I can play the CDs at home. I also realised that when I got rid of the car, I left Shania Twain in the player, so whoever turns it on next has got, man, I feel like a woman to welcome them to the vehicle.
But again, strong female voice. Yeah, I don't know, like the time it must have taken to make these mixtapes as well.
Yeah.
I just think there's something about that process and that like asserting yourself as an individual and being like, didn't know this is who I am and this is like this is my music, this is my band, this is my song. And now it's just like the Spotify isn't quite the same, I don't think.
No, it's a different beast. You're right. Yeah, and it's not even a battle between analog and digital, is it? It's just that there is a finality about that mixtape. Like it takes a lot of effort to record it over it again or make it something else. You're right. You're kind of setting your stall and saying this is who I am right now, and I'm gifting it to you, or I'm putting it out in the world as it is. Yeah, it's quite a statement, especially at 15, 16, which is like the age you're talking.
Yeah, like as I said, asserting your individualism and almost like wearing your heart on your sleeve a little bit more. And I think that's something about kind of Sleater-Kinney that is always been really prevalent. Is just that like honesty of like lyric and sort of fierceness but vulnerability in the music and the words and the vocals. It's just it's all of the emotions, I think, and all of the things that I look for in songs that help me, like, I don't know, come out of a particular feeling or express a certain feeling.
Yeah, you've kind of alluded to it a couple of times, but I'm wondering if you could say more about what survival means in relation to this song in particular. It sounds to me like this song makes you brave, kind of reminds you who you are a bit. And
I think so, actually. I think that's a really nice way of putting it. It kind of reminds me who I am, where I've come from, maybe all the things that I've gone through to this point to be able to kind of continue as well. It's that like continuation of like, well, if I got through that, I can get through this, and how did I manage that, and who was around me, and maybe like advocating for yourself as well, and just not being afraid to say, you know, this is rubbish right now. These are the things that I'm going to do to make it not rubbish.
Yeah, like a very particular type of girl power.
Definitely. But I think, yeah, in terms of survival, it's finding strength, maybe even finding a creative outlet to distract you.
Yeah, I was interested as you were saying all of that, actually. Do you play this when you're making your art?
I don't know if I do, actually. As I've got older, I have become much quieter in that. I have to listen to things that maybe make me concentrate more, or that don't take over my ideas so much. I mean, I think maybe like this song makes me feel slightly angsty, which might not be the best frame of mind to be in to create. But maybe, it's a bit like kind of the Rocky theme tune. Maybe I'd play it like before starting to make or create. Yeah.
I'm just picturing some of the prints that you've made, and they make complete sense to me with this song. So that's partly why I asked.
One of the things I think when I first heard Sleater-Kinney is I thought, this is in my 16-year-old brain, so forgive me, was that, it sounds really odd or off, or the tuning's like I said, discordant. But as I've got older, I've really wanted to find that like oddness in my work, like something that feels like non-representative, or something that feels maybe slightly strange but engaging, unexpected. And those are things I think that are really exciting. Maybe something that's not pretty is what I'm kind of getting at.
If someone's not met your work before, Laura, where do they go looking?
I have a website, which is lauraslater.co.uk. I also have an Instagram, Laura Slater Print. They're the main two places that you can find me.
Thank you so much for doing this. I've really enjoyed it.
Oh, thank you. You too.
We really hope you enjoyed the episode. If you want to support the podcast further, you can choose to upgrade your subscription on Substack. But most of all, we'd just love it if you told your friends about what we're up to. Thanks for listening.